Hey everyone, you're with Christine and Ask Your Angels. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. It's a very special show dedicated to a little 8-year-old boy who's been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. If you'd like to see Dorian's story, please visit our website at www.askyourangels.ca. We are trying to raise $24,500 to send Dorian to a special needs school in the fall. And tonight's show, which is dedicated to our cause, is Indigo, Rainbow, and Crystal children. Joining me, Toronto-born and now living in LA, is Mojan. Hi, Mojan.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
It's an absolute pleasure to be with you guys tonight. I've been looking forward to this for about a month now.
Yes, we have too. We're pretty excited. And before the show, Mojan sent me a little white light, so I'm feeling pretty good. So, Mojan, can you tell us a little bit about the New Earth children?
Absolutely. It's very important that I just put out a little bit of a disclaimer because it is important that we go way beyond assessing labels or categories to these special children, because I want to acknowledge the fact that we all have access to these higher states of frequencies and consciousness.
Yes.
So the Indigo, Crystal, and Rainbow children are basically, they're like a reflection of where we are currently. They mirror the greatest possibility of the whole, the collective consciousness. And it's a great way for us to focus on relating to each other in an open, honest, and sincere way. And if we use the labels to separate us, then it's going to defeat the whole purpose of why they're here, which is to unite us. But, okay, now that I've put it out there, the Indigo, Crystal, and Rainbow children are here either voluntarily. I think most of them have volunteered to come here. They come from other higher dimensions, other planes of existence, other planets. And so they're here to usher in a new higher vibrational frequency or energy. And their goal is to awaken the masses, to help us evolve our consciousness and prepare us for a new phase of life that we really haven't had a lot of opportunity to evolve to this state in a very long time, and they're here to help usher that. So it's a very exciting time, and they definitely come at a perfect time, and we need them more than ever. So, they're basically like the healers of the earth, and some people call them the bringers of the light. And also, with that, when you have light, it shines upon us so that we can remember who we are.
Exactly. It's a pretty exciting time to be alive for sure. And I think everyone I come into contact, it seems daily, is feeling that we are reaching that higher frequency and we are coming together spiritually. So it's just such a great thing. It really is.
It really is. You can feel it. You don't have to believe in, an indigo, crystal, or star children to know that, there's something different going on. A lot of people are going through things. A lot of people who have never had access to their emotional being are starting to tap into it, and it can be very challenging for certain people. So we're feeling it.
Oh, for sure. And it's a very positive thing, I think.
Oh, the intention is completely benevolent. Absolutely.
So what can you tell us about Indigo children?
Indigo children, well, I always see, in my third eye, I see a warrior. They're warriors. They're very strong, but simultaneously they have a lot of vulnerability because it's very hard for them, because to be in a third dimensional body is a challenge. Their consciousness is of a fifth dimensional. So it's a little bit difficult to squeeze in all that knowledge and wisdom and understanding in this tiny little body. So it does come with many challenges, but what I've noticed is that the challenges, as difficult as they may appear, are in fact hurdles. And these hurdles are there so that we can have a bit of a bounce. By going over these hurdles, we get to jump up and raise our vibration and do great things. So I don't want them to feel like the pain is in vain. The pain is not in vain. There's a lot of emotional stuff, and a lot of them have worked through it, and a lot of them are in the midst of working through it right now as we speak.
Oh,
so, yeah, and I'm sorry, yeah, they're very highly sensitive and psychic, so this is why they have these emotional turbulence feelings.
I always say to people, like for myself, I've had a lifetime of challenges, and it's extremely rewarding when you do get over those hurdles. But I also believe that we're learning at the same time. And it seems that every time we go over those hurdles, there's something better on the horizon. Like we always end up on top, basically.
We do, because I always look at these hurdles, like visually, I see them as like you're on a trampoline. And before you can jump high, you have to find your rhythm on the trampoline. You know, you have to start jumping like a foot. And then once you get your balance and your rhythm and you get a little bit of wind underneath your sails, you can go higher and higher. So that's how I sort of see these hurdles. And of course, in the moment, it's so difficult to relate to it as, something to help you move higher, because it sometimes feels really low. But
Yes.
it's definitely not. They're not here to be punished, you know? And me as an indigo myself, I've gone through that too, and it's very much worth to keep jumping on the trampoline. It's definitely worth to keep trying and to keep jumping and to keep reaching.
It's funny, I know it's a metaphor, but when I was little, I loved the trampoline. You just have such a sense of freedom with it.
Exactly.
Once you said you get your rhythm, otherwise you fall off, and that doesn't feel so good.
No, but then you get back up, and then you keep going, and once you figure it out, once you find your rhythm, you create ways. You start doing backflips or forward flips and stuff, and you do that with confidence, and you do that with support. Indigos need a lot of support and a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
They need a lot of love, and sometimes they don't have access to it, so they have to create it within themselves. And it's very rewarding if they can create a way to do so.
Oh, that's so true. I actually believe I'm an indigo child as well. And one of the things I was told about indigo children, I had someone ask me, he said, do you wear a watch? And I said, well, no. And, I had to think about it. The reason I don't wear a watch anymore is every time I would get a watch and put it on, it would maybe work for 5 minutes, and I'd be in and out of the jeweler saying, I just put this battery in, but this watch isn't working, and it keeps stopping. And
how funny. Wow, how metaphoric.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I'm told that it's something to do with, because we have the higher frequency, I'm burning out my watch. Like, I just can't seem to wear one. And it's the same with lights flashing when I go into the room. The night table lamp starts flashing, and, power stuff goes on and off, and I don't know. Is that an attribute of an indigo? Because
it's an attribute of all three, and why I said it was so metaphoric was because the third dimension that we're living in, time and space and where and when, all these things are very strong material, grounded type of experiences, and with these children and these now indigo adults. The realm that they are connected to, the place that they receive their guidance and their energy, and actually where their soul has evolved from, isn't confined to time and space and what and where and how and who. So I can see how your energy is rejecting. And so it's like, no, thank you. I live in my own world, and I create my own reality. And I'm not gonna confine myself to this third dimensional plane.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that. Mojan, we have a question.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, question online is, what is the definition of an indigo child exactly?
Well, I'm not one to put labels on anything, and that's a real strong characteristic of an indigo child. But I can tell you a few things. Their auras are usually, the indigo, opalescent type, purple. When they take those special photos, you can see it. It just bursts out of them. They are extremely strong-willed, highly energetic. They're definitely, to me, I always see a warrior. They are strong, and they're the ones that reject authority. Out of all three, they are extremely powerful, and they definitely want to set the stage for a new beginning. So what they're here to do is to clean slate. Okay, and I'll get into it a little later on how their cleaning slate moves into the crystals and how the crystals move into the rainbows. But as far as the indigos, they are, wow, they are definitely here to, you know, to help the world in a big way. They are very important. They should not be pushed aside because the crystal and rainbow children are here and it's very shiny and exciting. They possess a deep desire to help the world in a big way. So they're the ones here to get it going, to get it started.
Thank you, Mojan. That's great.
I hope I answered that.
Well, and I'm sure there's a lot more to it too, but you know, it would take a lot of time to cover all the attributes. What can you tell us about crystal children?
The crystal children, well, I want to say that a lot of them were born in the early 1990s, and they also incarnated in the late 2000s. They are the ones that, well, you know, it's funny that they're called crystals because if you have a crystal and if you are in tune with it, you'll notice that a crystal is like a plant. It gives and receives energy. So they are here to clean the energy of our souls, of the planet. They're basically the ones that disperse negative energy and recycle it into positive, more balanced energy. So the crystal children are extremely empathetic. They are very in tune with other people's emotions. They know what people are thinking. They know that if someone's smiling and maybe inside they're angry, they'll know. They'll definitely know. Extremely sensitive. They need a lot of love, but different than the indigo because the indigos need support and validation, whereas a crystal child needs to be held. They need, you know, they need a lot of nurturing. They need a lot of support for artistic and, you know, artistic endeavors like music and, you know, art. They're the ones that are the most sensitive to food, chemicals, stuff like that. So that's why there's a lot of information out there about vaccinating your crystal child, and it's a whole other topic, but there is a correlation to the autism to these kids and the vaccination. So I don't want to get into it, but I do kind of understand what that information is about. So the crystal children have come here with a pretty clean slate. Not quite like the rainbow. The rainbows have no karma, and you can tell if you have one. They're absolutely, they don't even know how to feel anger. It's kind of amazing.
Wow, they don't know how to feel anger?
No, it's just not, they're just, you know, we'll get into the rainbows in a moment, but there's a reason for it, and I will get into that. The crystal children, see, they're so sensitive and empathetic that, like a crystal, they absorb the energy, and sure, they may recycle it into a more balanced energy, but the middle ground of that, like the process from taking that energy into positive, there is a moment there where they have to take in that negative energy. So that's where I feel they may have a bit of anger, but it's not for very long. It's almost like a temper tantrum, and then they're over it.
Wow. Okay, so you just described my son to a T. So now I know exactly that he's a crystal child because that's why I was asking about the anger. So clearly he is not a rainbow.
Yeah, the rainbow have no karma. They have no... the rainbows, honestly, like I know people say that the crystal and the indigo, I've heard certain people say that they have no karma, they have no past life, but my opinion is I don't agree with that, but I do feel it. I have a niece and a nephew. They're rainbows, and I can tell that there's a difference. You know, there's a big difference.
For sure. So The crystal children, would you say that they come from alternate worlds?
They all come from, they can, absolutely they can, but to say that all of them do, I don't think anything is finite. I feel like, there's infinite possibilities, and I cannot say that for sure. I do not believe so. I do not feel so. But a lot of them do. Other planes of existence, other planets, other realms, absolutely. It's a huge possibility because, someone had to bring this energy in, and it did come from a more evolved state, in a more evolved plane of existence. So if it happens to be a planet, the universe, whatever it is, I don't think it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might for some people, but at the end of the day, there's a bigger purpose.
For sure. Mojan, we have another question.
Okay.
The question online is, who made up the names Indigo and the other
Rainbow,
the
Crystal?
other two, Crystal and Rainbow?
That's a good question. Do we know?
I have heard that there is someone out there, I don't remember their name, but I do know that Doreen Virtue really made it mainstream.
Yes.
And from what I understand, they started with the Indigos, and the reason they labeled them as Indigo is because when they took these photos with the special camera, and I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of it, but their auras all came out with this indigo ray, this purple sort of light, and so and all the characteristics were very similar, and people were relating. So that's basically where it came from, but I do not remember the name of the person. I did read about it a couple years ago, but I'm sure that information is online if you want to Google it.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit more about rainbow children?
Ooh, okay, the rainbow. The rainbows are very special, and no more special than the other two groups we were speaking about. The reason I have such an affinity with the rainbow children is, they've only been really, truly incarnating in the past 5 years, maybe 4. The rainbow children are really our hope. They're like that beacon of light because their being, their energy, their sort of existence, and the evolution that they come with is what we all consciously, subconsciously, the collective unconscious, it's exactly what we aspire to be. And they represent where we are headed, what we are evolving to, and what our possibilities are as an evolving species. So it's a very good sign that these kids are coming in now,
For sure. And do they have a specific purpose? Like, are they here to save us?
Well, they're here to help us save ourselves. And they do give us a lot of things to work with. For example, with the crystal children, they represent, there's a reason they're called crystal, because if you've done any research on gemstones and crystals, like I said, like a plant, they absorb and give energy. Now, the rainbow, they correlate to our chakra system.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so funny, I had a vision of this the other day, and I kind of think the rainbow children are like the Care Bears, because you know how Care Bears do
Have
like
the
the
little
Care
rainbow?
Bear stare, and they send out their specific gift with their heart. They do the Care Bear stare. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Yeah. They have the little rainbow on their t-shirt.
Yeah, but they all do this thing from their heart chakra. I love Care Bears. I think they're such a great symbol of the rainbow children. So being around a rainbow or having a rainbow child, you are pretty much guaranteed that if you tap into that, to their energy, and if you really help them hone into their natural gift, there will be some sort of chakra clearing or chakra cleaning. They respond to colors of the rainbow. They love color. They absolutely are inspired by color. And for me, I really correlate it to the chakras and how the alignment of our chakras will help us ascend into a higher, help us align with our highest self,
Mm-hmm.
and help us clear energy from our heart so we can live from our heart.
Well, they certainly are special children. Based on that, Mojan, would you say that they're more spiritually evolved than we are?
I would say yes. I would say they absolutely, because the joy and harmony they bring to their families, they barely cry. They as infants, they only cry if they need food or a changing, or They only cry to communicate as a young infant. Their enthusiasm is so contagious. And not that other kids don't have that. They definitely do. But they're the happiest of children that have been incarnated in a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think so too. My little guy, he's laughing all the time. We have another question.
Okay.
Are the children aware they are indigo or crystal or rainbow?
You know, this is why having information out there is so great. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. Like I said, if we get stuck in the label, then we are separating, and the whole point is to unite. I do strongly believe that there is a sense of being different. There is a sense of being unique. Do they know specifically? I don't think so. It's beyond the label. But their consciousness, especially the rainbows, is so evolved. I mean, to be honest, like the rainbow children can reach up to the 9th dimension of consciousness, which is all purity. As they get older and maybe meet people who aren't tapped in, they may start to feel different. And with that, they'll probably realize that there is something different about them. It's so interesting. I had this conversation with a friend of mine. For parents who have indigo or crystal or rainbow children, something that's really beautiful to invoke the memory of, their soul memory is to ask them, do you remember who you were before you came to mommy? Do you remember what you were doing before you came to mommy? These kinds of questions and this kind of dialogue will ensure that the child will have a deeper understanding of who they are. And will it turn out that they know they're in rainbow or crystal? Not necessarily, but it'll help them tap in to their true self.
I believe that too. I think as we evolve as parents too, the more that we talk to our children and let them know that we are open to this conversation, it's going to help them to be able to talk about it more and to see their true inner self.
Absolutely, because as a child, most kids before the age of 7, they communicate, they see angels, they're very in touch. But the reason the age of 7 is so important to keep the dialogue going, or even making sure you do it before then, is at the age of 7 something shuts down because society and the material third dimensional energy starts to become something they understand. And the more they understand that, without the balance of knowing where they came from, shuts them down. So dialogue is extremely important, extremely.
It's funny you said the age of 7, Mojan, and I'm not sure when we talked last if I told you this, but I used to hear voices of people, either angels or who had crossed over, and it was when I was 7 that it came to a head basically. And back then, I mean, nobody was very open about this sort of thing. You certainly couldn't talk to your parents about it. They would think you had an imaginary friend or something. And I did. I shut down. I told them all to go away because it was just too overwhelming. I felt so alone in it because no one else really understood what I was going through.
And that's exactly what stopped it from coming through to you. And I don't know why it's the age of 7. I know in psychology they talk about the age of 5, but from what I've tapped into and what I channel, it is the age of 7. And that is unfortunate. And you definitely come from the indigo era, and it was so much harder for the indigos because it was like a no-no to go there, unless you came from a mystical background, or if your parents were in touch, and most of them weren't. And we can't really judge them for it because that's how they were brought up.
Exactly.
So we can send, if anyone out there feels like something stopped at the age of 7 and they've been, trying to go back and try to, be in touch with that, there's beautiful ways to sort of go back and clear that energy. And if you would like, I can tell you how to do so.
Go right ahead. That sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, so I'll give you the short version, and I hope that people can take what I say and use their intuition or create a new way based on the foundation of information I'm going to give, okay? So what you want to do is get into either a meditative state or a state of hypnosis, but it's not necessary. But I think the most relaxed is deep breathing. The breathing is most powerful when it's done through the nose, breathing in very slowly, and then blowing out through the mouth very slowly. And as you breathe in, you want to breathe in love and light. And when you blow out, you want to blow out fear and anything that's in your way, okay? So once you find yourself in a relaxed state, I don't know, for me, I get tingling all over my body. My whole body tingles. My mouth is like so numb. Like I get into this really, really awesome, relaxed zone. Everyone's different, but that's what happens for me. And then you want to go back. You want to go back. If you want to go before 7, that's fine. And you want to sort of see yourself there, whether it's in your bedroom, whether it's playing, whether it's talking to your mom or your dad. And you want to tap into that energy, and you want to take yourself to that space and time. And when you do this, I want people to understand, when you can visualize it or feel it, even though it appears to be the past, you're definitely taking yourself to that space. So anything you do when you're in that space, please know it's powerful. Please know you can make a difference. So you go back to that space, and once you found a vision that you're comfortable with, and you find yourself there with your your inner child, so to speak, start a dialogue. Start talking to her or him. Ask them what they need. If they feel lonely, abandoned, misunderstood, talk to them about it. Give them love. Give them a hug. And really, I mean really, try to feel this child, your inner child, receive this hug and feel safe with you. And once they feel safe with you, you can bless them with pure love source energy. You can imagine light washing away any of the issues that come up, which is fear or abandonment or whatever it is. And I want you to stay there until you feel this child feels loved or appreciated. And it could take 5 minutes, it could take an hour. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to invite your little to come with you into the future, into where you are now. And you want to invite them to live with you and be one with you. And this way, when you sort of ask them to be a part of you, they're no longer alone, because that part of them of feeling separated is still happening, because a part of you, it happened inside you, so it's still happening if it hasn't been dealt with. And so inviting them into the present moment will ensure that in time, especially if you hone it and continuously nurture it, that you will be able to regroup and recenter yourself and be able to have the gifts that you had, or even new ones, evolved ones. And then when you're done, you want to thank your angels. You want to thank Archangel Michael, Divine God, Love, Jesus, whoever. You want to make sure you give them a thank you for taking you there safely and protecting you on this journey. And I have to tell you that I have healed some of the most traumatic experiences I had as a child by doing this.
I'm definitely going to do that later for sure, because and I know a lot of friends, if they're watching, will find that very valuable. Thank you so much, Mojan.
My pleasure.
I just want to reintroduce the show for those of you who have just joined us. You are with the Ask Your Angels talk show. We are at www.askyourangels.ca. Tonight's show is a very special one. It's very dear to our hearts, because we are doing it as a fundraiser for a little boy who's been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. He's 8 years old. He desperately needs a special needs school that's going to help him with his behavioral issues. And we are trying to raise $24,500. If you happen to be in the Burlington, Ontario area, we will be at the Lions Club Hall on May the 6th. From 9:30 till 5:30 p.m. I have many, many wonderful, loving, caring practitioners who will be joining us to offer their services. Admission is free. You can try out anything you'd like. It's by donation only. We hope you'll join us. I will be there giving angel readings. I would love to meet you. So tonight our special guest is Mojan. She's Toronto based, but she's living in LA now. And she's joining us. We're talking about indigo, crystal, and rainbow children. Thanks again for joining us, Mojan.
Thanks, Christine. I just want to tell you something came up really, really strong.
Okay.
And it's for you. I have a message for you. Do you remember when before we went on air, we did a little bit of light therapy with you, and how I was so blown away how before I even finished, you received the light?
Yes.
Um, I know you work with angels, but they have been giving you rainbow light to work with. You are an energy chakra practitioner. There is electricity coming out of you. So I don't know if you've done this, but you have an innate understanding. It's nothing you need to study. But people will respond extremely positively to your loving treatment. I just want you to know. I'm overwhelmed with this.
Thank you so much. I've been told, I mean, I've taken Reiki and I've been told that I can heal more than I am with my right hand.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to work with chakras, but I haven't, or auras, I haven't done too much with it really.
I have to tell you, whatever you learned, put it aside. You have an innate gift.
Well, thank you.
Sorry, when it comes up, I have to say it.
No, that's nice to hear. It just shows that I'm on the right track and I have more that I can tap into to help people. So thank you so much.
You got it. You got it.
So going back, as parents to these children that unfortunately many of these very special gifted children, we were talking about how, you know, they're here on earth to help us. They are from a very high dimension, higher frequency, and that many of them are labeled with autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, which is ADHD. What's that? I know the short form. ADD. They get these labels, but in fact, they're extremely gifted. So, what, as a parent to these children, obviously there's many challenges. What is the best advice you can give to a parent to help nurture this child and to give them a sense of normality?
Sure. Okay. Well, all three groups respond extremely well to angels and archangels. They have an innate ability to communicate with them. So if we can sort of support them and, like I said, have those conversations, it helps make it more real for them, and it helps them communicate much more effectively with the angels themselves and with the world at large. Now, with the crystal children, I know it's the obvious, but really they do so well with crystals, playing with crystals, having crystals in their pocket, putting them under their pillows. They do so well. They resonate so well because as much as they're the crystals, clearing out all the energy of the earth that is no longer needed for the new phase that we're about to enter, these actual crystals will clear out the crystals. Diet is a big deal because the more pure the food, the more pure they digest it, and the more pure they'll be able to sort of live their lives. Meditation is not something that children will respond to the way we do as adults, but relaxed time and quiet time and visual. They love to visualize things, so if we can go on a little journey with them and just go with it and trust what they say. They know what they're talking about. A lot of them may not do well in school, but that does not mean that they're very intelligent. Now, the rainbow children, oh my goodness, they respond to color. So any type of color therapy. I personally make colorful baths because I feel like the aura and the energetic field in our chakras respond so well to color. And water represents, cleansing and clearing. So I would recommend color therapy baths or any type of visual with like a rainbow. They are extremely intuitive. So anything you have around the house that's very colorful, like having their room filled with color, will be extremely powerful for them. Now, the rainbows are a natural filter. So I don't recommend feeding them unhealthy, nourishing foods, but they're not as sensitive as crystals. The crystals need organic.
Okay.
Okay, and the rainbows I recommend organic, but it's not as necessary, because if you've noticed, the crystals do not respond very well to vaccinations, drugs, chemicals. Hence why there's an issue with autism going strong. The rainbows
Yes.
will not have those issues arise because they're a natural processing system.
Going back to crystal children, I can speak firsthand because my child was diagnosed with ASD, and he did not react well. They've put him on antipsychotic drugs. I mean, believe me, we fought for years putting our child on anything. It's the very last thing we wanted to do, and we tried homeopathy, we tried the organic foods, we tried a naturopath. I mean, we went every route we could, and basically it was more the public school system, you know, in having to deal with him. Basically we were in a corner, and we had to, it was school or drugs in school or no school. So
Yeah.
we did put him on something that was recommended, but I can tell you we have actually seen the mood swings increase. We've basically gone through hell for years, and I finally said enough's enough, and we weaned him off, and all of a sudden we have this beautiful, sweet, loving, caring child, happy, full of beans, like super hyperactive. But you know what? I'll take that any day over what we were seeing with the drugs.
Well, absolutely. Just because these children are untraditional, you know, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. In fact, it's society. You know, their traditional ways are, the energy is very dense. It has no meaning or purpose or power. You know, we're moving into a higher dimension, and so these kids are definitely aligned or aligning, and helping us align to reach that state. So anything that they suggest that's depressing, it's no good. You know, when you shake a can of cola, and then you open it, it's going to explode. So what we have to do is be very gentle and very kind and loving and nourishing. They don't respond to aggressive methods at all.
No, they don't. They absolutely do not.
No. Oh my God. If anything, it takes away from their innate gift.
Exactly. With that in mind, Mojam, do you think that for a child that's been diagnosed in this fashion, do you think that maybe in the future there's, at least I like to hope so, that they will start looking at these children differently, and maybe have schools, you know, Rainbow Children's School, so that the teachers are more enlightened with the gifts of these children? I mean, if you get, I was an Indigo child, and I had difficulty, you know, my mom was in and out of the school principal's office, until grade 5, when I actually met a wonderful, beautiful woman, thank you, Mrs. Beaumont, I'm sure you're not watching, but who took me under her wing, and saw the gifts that I had, and really, like you had said, you know, music, artistic, I was a writer, and she really helped with the writing and just brought me out of my shell, and my whole world changed. So you get the right teacher that really understands these children, it makes a world of difference.
Oh, yes. Bless the teachers that are, you know, I don't even know if they're aware that these children are indigo, Crystal. I don't even know if that's the case, but what it is they have their heart chakra wide open. And when you have your heart chakra wide open like that, you are filled with empathy, compassion, understanding. You go with the flow. You do not try to control people. You allow them to flourish from who they are. And if who they are is misbehaving or not, you know, the right way, quote unquote, then that person with the huge heart is going to work with you and see why. Where are you at? What do you need? How can I nourish this into, you know, taking you to a better place? So as you were saying with the schooling, that's already happening slowly but surely. I've seen some things online and some videos of some schools opening up, and I think that that's great. It would be wonderful if, you know, more teachers would know about it, at least to sort of try and work with these students and these children, you know, and that's very difficult when these classrooms are filled with 30, 40 kids. It's so hard to give that undivided attention. So with crystal children, they get so overwhelmed by large groups, as well as indigo. Oh my goodness. Indigos are more rebellious about it. The crystal are very sensitive about it. You know, they take it in a different way.
Exactly. Mojan, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have a question.
Okay.
What do these children evolve to when they are older?
I'm not sure which children are particular, but at the end of the day, I can tell you that the indigos and the crystals have access to this rainbow energy. Okay, so it's not just the rainbows that are going to ascend into this plane of pure unconditional love, which is where we're headed. But the rainbows are already there, and the indigos and crystals are not far behind. So, I mean, they can look forward to ushering in the energy to create a new understanding, a new type of humanity where, we live in a society of duality, where it's black or white, up or down, right or wrong, and that will no longer be. And as far off as that may sound, that's where we're headed. I guess we needed duality for a period of time to help us sort of understand, God, divine, the light, but also to acknowledge our shadow self, and that's not there as we move on after we finish with this lifetime. It's definitely a third dimensional experience, and so when we deal with our shadow self, we're really truly able to understand the light. And so, as I was saying earlier, the rainbows are here to mirror our greatest possibility. And so these kids have a lot to look forward to, and as well as the indigo adults. And so it's really about an awakening, it's about evolution, it's about a higher consciousness with love. We all have the intention of ending war, and that's why communication is so important with our little, because if we're able to do that with ourselves, we'll be able to collectively, consciously put that out there. And, the majority of us, 95% of us, do not want war. So if we can stop the war within ourselves, that will manifest, and that will absolutely stop the 5% that want war for profit or whatever their reason is. I don't like to get into it too much, but we have to acknowledge that it's there. So we're here energetically, and they are here to grow into a place where they can change the world.
Exactly.
We can do it. We can do it, but we have to do it individually so that when we come together as a whole, it'll be that much greater.
Oh, and I believe that 100%. We have another question.
Okay, this question came a few minutes ago, and they're talking with the children again, and it's is there stronger or weaker ones of that group?
No, there is aware or unaware. There is tapped in or untapped in. So the potential is infinite. No, absolutely not. It's just a matter of the support, the nourishment, and the effort. We have to put in an effort.
Mm-hmm. When did the indigo children begin to incarnate? Is there a timeline?
Some say the 60s, but I would say, there's these ones that are called scouts.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of them, I don't know what a few of them means, thousands, hundreds come in before a floodgate of them come through. So, the indigos came in really strong in the 70s, really strong, but I do believe that they came in the early 1900s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but those are the scouts. Those are the ones that came and sort of they planted the seeds to grow so that when the influx came through, they sort of had a foundation to stand on.
Okay, and we have another question.
Okay. Great.
Okay, are all children born as one type or the other? And what about those that are none, if there isn't?
Okay, in my belief, everyone is a light worker, whether they know it or not. The real question is, am I aware of what I'm capable of?
Mm-hmm.
And what was the first part of the question? Oh, are all kids, I'm sorry, what was it again?
He has to scroll down to get it. Just one
Sorry.
sec.
Are all kids are all kids one of the four types or none?
Right. You know, I don't think so. It doesn't, no. But being said that everyone is a light worker because everyone has the light inside them, we all come from a divine source. It's a choice. But some of us come in, you know, we volunteer to come in from a completed or a different dimension, a higher vibrational plane. So, you know, some of them come in a little stronger, but that doesn't mean that any of us don't have access to it, because my biggest belief about the Indigo Crystal Rainbow children is they are here for us to create and penetrate an opening so that we can all have access to these higher states of consciousness. But no, I do not believe that all are indigo, crystal, or rainbow. I do not.
Okay, thank you. So, Mojan, would you say that these children are smarter than we were at their age?
I guess so, but
kind of hard to say.
We all have access to wisdom and information. I think, you know what it is, to be honest, I'll tell you what I'm picking up on. It was a lot, the energy has been so dense for so long that it was very difficult for a lot of us in the past to tap in to this energy.
Yes.
Because of the density, you know. So they may appear smarter because they're not bound to that dense energy, so they have access to more.
They're more aware.
It appears so, but it's not really about that. You know, it's just because of the nature of the transition we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm. So we were talking about the possibility of them opening up special schools for these children, and you'd said that you'd read that in some places they are actually doing that?
Yes, they are. There's a lot of information online. I'm not saying there's thousands of them, but they're slowly but surely happening. The seeds have been planted. So, you know, as a society, we just have to ensure metaphorically that these seeds are getting enough water and sunlight so that they can grow. And I do believe it's gonna multiply in the coming 6 years.
I actually, when we were talking about that, I was getting a vision of people going out to schools to actually have workshops on this.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I think it'll happen. Oh, we have another question.
Okay.
What criteria are we using to distinguish these people from the rest of the population?
So
that's a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one to be stuck in a label. Okay, I'm not one to say anything is finite. It's really up to the individual. Okay, there's a lot of information out there. You know, there's a lot of characteristics that are so strong that people have made lists. And there is I think it's called the Starseed questionnaire. You know, and I'm not saying it's, you know, set in stone, but it's really for you to decide. It's an individual. You know, because I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you are this and you are that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really up to the individual to make that final understanding.
And I
there
think
is nothing set in stone. It's just something your soul knows. You know, if you especially with indigos, I've noticed that a lot of them with my age group, you know, we felt different. We felt like we had to rebel. We felt like we had to sort of, you know, be anarchists and, you know, do groundbreaking things and think different. And so not all of indigos are like that. So I can't say that there's a specific criteria to it, so to say, but there is sort of like a common denominator, and your soul will tell you. You just have to do a bit of research. And when you do your research, this is so important. You know, don't take people's articles or information or YouTube videos as the word of God. You know, it's really up to us to decipher and decide who we are, and to be honest, who we want to be. It's your decision. You don't have to relate to this. You can if it makes you feel better. It's all here to help you not feel alone and to help you feel supported. You know, it doesn't need to be so finite.
No, and I think when you do research and you look into it, you just go with what resonates with you. If you want
that word is magic. Resonate.
Yes. If you want to say that, if you really want to say, well, I want to know that I am one of these, then just read up on all the different attributes of each one and whichever one resonates. Because we were talking earlier about crystal children and how they're like crystals. They absorb energy. My son would go into a room, and if there was a person there who had a negative energy, and you know, we've all met them, those people that just, oh, my life is just so bad, and let me tell you all my troubles, and he'll go into a room and immediately his mood will change because that person is sitting there. He feels it right away. So he's absorbing that negative energy. You were saying, Mojan, about how they really resonate with crystals. They love them. My son loves crystals. He loves the rocks and the stones, and he likes carrying them around all the time. He likes music. He likes art. He wants to be a rock star. He wants to be a music teacher. He hasn't decided yet. So
how cute.
I know, but he lets us hear his songs every day. He practices and is waiting until he gets his band together. So
I love it. I love it. There you go. He's so in tune with himself. That's beautiful. And you know what? Surround his room with crystals because they respond so well. You know, just like they're crystals for us. They need something to help them out, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I want to say something, and I'm not sure if someone will ask this, but there are like a cusp, because that person was asking how do you, you know, decipher what is, who is, what isn't. There are these cusps where, you know, there's like an indigo cusp crystal and like a crystal cusp rainbow, you know, where they're born sort of in between the shifts. And then I just want to say, and I'm not sure if I covered it before, it's so important to know because I don't want to leave the indigos out. They deserve so much love and attention. The indigos, most of them have broke through a lot of their issues and are now highly extra sensitive because what they've done is they've moved into the crystal energy, and then what moves forward from there is they will move into the rainbow energy, and that's when they complete all the lessons that they need to learn with the crystal energy. And so even the crystals have a great capacity to be of the rainbow realm. So that if someone is like, oh, I did the quiz and it's like, I relate to a little indigo, I relate to a little crystal, then just know that you're either cusping or you're moving into the next phase.
That makes sense because while we were talking about it, I mean, I've known I was an indigo child, but I have many of the crystal attributes. So that resonates a little more now than the indigo used to 2 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of us have moved out of indigo, and the ones that haven't yet they're literally there. They're almost there. They're almost there.
And hopefully after tonight, they'll be there a little closer.
I hope so. They're emerging, that's for sure.
And there are books out there too that can help them. Yes.
Absolutely. I know. This one book. One of my clients sent me. She's so cute, Maya. She sent me this book. It's called Indigo Adult, because when you look around, it's all about indigo children. Indigo children. There's so few information on indigo adults. So this book is called here. It's right here. Indigo Adult. It's called. And then underneath it says Understanding Who You Are and What You Can Become. And it is by Kabir Jaffe and Ritima Davidson. It's a good book. I read it in a whole day, like a couple years ago. Yeah, it's great. It'll help you understand and what you can do, and I really enjoyed the book.
Well, I have one here that's The Indigo Children. And this is by Lee Carroll and Jan Tilbert. I'm going to hold it up. I don't know if, can you see that?
I've actually read some Lee Carroll articles. She's pretty good at channeling information, so that's probably a really great book.
It is
to
a
your
great
listeners?
book. And you know what we did? We went on vacation, and, you know, because that's the time where you have to spend with your kids a little more quality time. And we were reading it as a family. My kids were getting such a kick out of it, because, you know, and they were laughing because there's so many things in there they really related to. And it's a great way to kind of introduce the Indigo Child to your children.
Oh my goodness! I mean, Christine, that is so beautiful. That is such a great example for parents out there on how to deal with it. Grab a book, read it together,
Yeah.
and enjoy it. That's beautiful. I love that you did that.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure it was. That sounds great.
So, can you have a younger Indigo child then, and an older Crystal child?
You know, I don't know. I haven't. With the kids that I know, let's see, from the ages of 14 all the way down to they're about, newborn. I haven't felt it.
Okay.
No, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I personally have not felt it. No.
Okay. And now I'm going back to the labels again. So,
Sure.
would you say that? I don't know how to word this, because I personally believe that many of these very special gifted children who have been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, ASD, that they are these special gifted children. And so my question is, in society, would you say that most of these children are labeled with these diagnoses?
A lot of them are. And my opinion is, I think society as a whole, you know, not the ones that are open and ready to move forward, but the ones that are living in fear of letting go of the Piscean age energy, you know, because they have their stuff established, they have their rules in order, everything's very, you know, robotic and, you know, do, but not feel, no feeling. There is a collective unconsciousness of suppression, and so the labeling is based on this theory.
Right.
And so, yes, I'm sure they display these characteristics of, you know, however they like to sort of label them. But it's just understanding. It's really about understanding the new phase. And I'm sorry, but I don't know that autism is really autism. Like, how do we know? You know, we don't really know what it is at the end of the day. And to label them only suppresses it. And so really this is a problem of suppression. You know, whether it's done on purpose or not, irrelevant. It's happening. The suppression is happening.
And it does cause them anxiety. And of course they label them based on, oh, they have a lot of anxieties. This is one of the attributes of, let's say, like my son was diagnosed more toward the Asperger's syndrome. A lot of anxiety. He had the tics, you know, the shoulders and the blinking and the constant sniffing and, you know, all these different tics. But you know what? As soon as we got him off that drug they put him on, he has no tics anymore. So
that's suppression I was talking about.
Yeah.
When you suppress it, it makes it worse.
Exactly. And it did get worse. And that's one of the reasons. We were kind of lucky it got worse, because that was our excuse for getting the doctor to take him off of it. But boy, did we see a difference. And I will never, ever put him back on something like that.
Well,
I don't care what they say.
As much as that situation was extremely unfortunate for you to experience, you sharing it is such a blessing to your listeners, because through your experience, you know, you're going to be helping a lot of parents out there not repeat this. Not repeat that. And I'm not going to say it was a mistake, because you most definitely were meant to experience that, so you can share it with everyone, so they can look at the other options, the more holistic options that are out there. They're readily available to us if we're willing to seek them.
And that's one of the reasons why I thought this show was so important to do. And the other reason, which I'll reintroduce now, so I believe it's around 9:30, so I'll just say to our viewers who have just joined us, you are with the Ask Your Angels talk show. Just to let you know, we have totally revised our website. We hope you'll visit it. It's www.askyourangels.ca. There's a lot of valuable information there that's complimentary. healing modalities, all sorts of things that you can look up. So please do. Tonight's show, we're trying to raise $24,500 for a little 8-year-old boy who's been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. He needs a special needs school. So we're having an ongoing campaign, and this is kind of launching it tonight. So if you'd like to make a donation, please go to our website, look up Dorian's story. You can read all about him and also donate to Dorian. So tonight we have Mojan with us. We are talking about children who are called rainbow, crystal, indigo children. And a lot of these children, they have very special gifts that they're bringing to the earth, and we need to realize that. So again, Mojan, for a third time, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, this has been a blast, and I totally support your charity, and I think it's so great that you're doing this. This is a type of mentality, this unity, this togetherness community to help each other. This is, you're being revolutionary here, because this is sort of a nice representation of what's to come. We do it together. We are all one. That's a big, strong message that these children, are here to bring, and not necessarily just to talk about it, but they're going to show it through example, through their energy. Their energy will definitely sort of help us understand it by watching them, how pure and loving and wonderful they are. So I think it's so great that you're doing this, and it's just sort of, it's an insight of what's to come in the future, I love it.
For sure. And I always say to people, as we're fundraising for Dorian, is that we know in our hearts, because he has these special gifts, that he is going to bring so much back to the world. Much more than he will receive. He will give back tenfold.
And you know what? I can validate that, because I feel it really strong in my heart right now as you say it.
Yeah, even when he was at a special needs school, and they didn't really have a music program in place, and of course he loves music, and that's what started him off saying, I'm going to be a music teacher for that school because I want to help other kids with autism. So he's already thinking about the other kids, and that's our hope, is that he will move forward and be able to give back.
That's beautiful. Well, I support you, and if you need me to, put a message out there, I'll do that for you. You just let me know.
Well, you can send it out to all your angels, because I know the message will get out faster.
Okay, you got it. You got it, honey.
Thanks, Mojan. So, these children with their innate gifts, do you think they're very misunderstood?
Oh, yes, a lot of them, especially the Indigos, because they sort of came at a time, it was after the 60s, although a lot of them were there. They definitely, they incarnated in the 60s. I really have to give a lot of love and support to the Indigos, because they're the groundbreakers, They are the ones that had to tear down the barriers and tear down old patterns, especially of traditional thinking and ways of doing things. Mm-hmm. And they are the ones that cleared the way. They did a lot of work. They had the hardest job, I think, because they had cleared the way for the crystals to come in, because they came in to clear the energy, to clear the foundation, on what the Indigos sort of broke down. And then it leads to the rainbows building on top of what the crystals cleared, a high vibrational plane of existence. And I use this word a lot, because it's not like we're not all moving to Mars. We're going to be here. We're still going to be the same. Just our perceptions will be different, how we perceive things. And then, when your perception is different and it's aligned with unconditional love, you're going to realize how much unconditional love has been here, just laying dormant, unignited. It's like they talk about the DNA activation. There's information out there. And what they mean is, we're all going to tap into what is innately our birthright, which is love. And that's what the DNA activation is about. Contacting our inner selves, our higher selves, releasing and working through all the painful stuff that is the shadow self. It's not real. When you're walking on the sidewalk and the sun's shining on you, you look down, you see your shadow. It's not, it's just a reflection of yourself. It's not concrete. There is no solid, there's nothing solid about it. And I'm rambling. Sorry, I just channeled that, so I don't have anything to say.
Well, actually, since you're in channeling mode, and this actually, it's kind of a little bit off topic, so I hope my viewers don't mind, but I was just thinking, you know, when you said you're out walking in the sunshine, Mojan, do you get a feel at all? I find that sometimes when I go into another room and I'm alone, and I'm sitting there and I'm just very peaceful and still, that the light gets brighter and brighter and brighter. I can't explain it, but I almost feel like it's my angels saying that they're here.
Oh, yes.
I can
to
feel
be
it.
honest, that is a clear sign to you that you've opened your third eye chakra, because you're not seeing it with your eyes, although it appears to be that way.
I'm
It's
feeling
your third
it.
eye, and your third eye is definitely something that it's a place that can see, but it's coming from the center of your forehead, and that is a clear sign that the energy in the room is light, bright, a high frequency, love, and of course angels are going to want to join you when you create that kind of energy.
And it's kind of funny too, because as it's happening, and our viewers are familiar, I'm sure, our regular viewers, with Jonah, our cat. But Jonah's usually in there with me, and all of a sudden his eyes are darting all over the ceiling.
Oh yeah,
So-
animals are great. They're great validation for that.
For sure. So, do these special children, Mojan, they're highly intuitive, so do they have psychic abilities?
Oh, absolutely. The indigos are highly sensitive and empathetic. So they feel a lot from their stomach, their solar plex. And when they open up their heart chakra, you know, that's a high risk. I mean, this is how indigos sort of feel. To them, it feels like a high risk to open up their heart, because to get hurt is definitely a part of it. And of course, our perception is what labels what is pain. Their fear of opening up their heart chakra sometimes stops them from opening up their third eye, but they are absolutely capable of being as highly intuitive and psychic as the pure rainbow. So like I said, with their empathetic abilities, that is their natural place. That is, their intuition is so strong. So with the rainbows, they feel everything. They do have vision. But for them, it's telepathy as well. They have a very strong telepathic connection to people, places, and things. They get visions in their third eye. See, as the indigos have to work towards getting to their third eye, the indigos naturally are born with an open third eye. And it's very important that the parents of the crystals either put protection, blessings, or prayers around their crystals, or teach the crystals how to protect themselves. Even asking Archangel Michael to come in is great. And then we move on to the rainbows. The rainbows are mostly based with the crown chakra. So their information comes straight from God. There is no third eye, no need for the heart. I mean, they're already, like I said, the rainbow represents the chakra system, so they're aligned. Even if something happens and they're unaligned, they naturally regenerate and align themselves. They just know how to do it instinctively. So the rainbow kids are very much connected with the crown chakra, and that's where they get their information from, from the divine, from the infinite, that is.
I think I know a rainbow child. I have a friend, her little girl came over the other night, and they just came back from playing indoor mini golf. It was one of those glow-in-the-dark ones, and they were showing me the photos, and this little girl had orbs all around her. And she sees things. She sees things all the time, and she talks about, she's kind of like the kid on, what's Haley Joel Osment, is it? I See Dead People?
Oh, yeah.
But she's very relaxed and open about it. She talks about what she sees, and it's like it's nothing. But then she also has a mom who nurtures that as well.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
yeah.
Luckily for the rainbows, to be honest, I don't think they choose parents that aren't accepting. They know what they're doing. They're here. They're the final influx of energy coming in, because they naturally have in their DNA all the information and all the energy to sort of help us create and usher in the new sort of energies of living that I was talking about earlier. And so, yes, of course, and that makes so much sense. And you described very well some of the capabilities that these rainbow kids have. Mm-hmm. And they're very young. They're very young.
Yeah, I think she's 8.
Okay, so she could be a scout, or she could be a crystal rainbow scout, mm-hmm. or she could be neither, none of the above. But I don't like to label things, you know.
No, I know. But she's very, the important thing is she's very open. And again, I believe from my own experience, these children, they're very gifted. Any child, whether they're rainbow, crystal, average Joe, but when they're in their young stage, like you were saying, up until the age of 7, a lot of them remember past lives. They see things, Just keep your ears open and start asking questions. Be very open to the messages they're bringing, because if you do, it's really exciting when you think about it, that you can find out this fantastic knowledge through your child.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, it is so great. The best question, to sort of get to or start with, I'm not sure, it depends on the individual, but one of the greatest questions to ask is, where were you, who were you, what were you doing before you came to mommy or daddy? Mm-hmm. This helps them really integrate all of their being into this present state of time. This is such a great question. Such a great question.
And I mentioned to my viewers in the past, when my other son was 4, we were coming home and he was in the back seat of the car and he says, I really miss my mummy. And I said, well, I'm right here. And he said, no, my other mummy. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I said, you know what? I'm sure she misses you too.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
I said to him, I'm sure she misses you too, sweetie.
Perfect. You have the right attitude. That's exactly what they need. Encouragement, nourishment, love, acceptance, compassion. Mm-hmm. That's all these kids need. They're actually very easy kids to raise. It's very simple. Very simple.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I'm talking about the rainbow. Sorry.
Okay.
The crystal, there's a bit of challenges, but
yeah, there is.
If they can learn to clear it out, clear out the energy, the challenges are minimized.
And you know what? When you can really see them for all that they are, I wouldn't go back and erase those challenges. I wouldn't change my son. I just wouldn't.
Well, he's very lucky to have you as a mother, because that's the definition of unconditional love right there.
Thank you. Going back, we were talking about that these children, they're working at a very high frequency. How do electronics factor in? Because of the computers, the DSs, the cell phones, does it impact them at all?
It does. It does, because those are all three-dimensional energies. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these kids, when they turn on, the light, the light bulb will diffuse and it'll go out. Or working with microwaves are no good. It's a very low vibration. So try and keep a microwave out of your home if at all possible, because the microwave generates these frequencies that are very erratic to the auric field. Right. So that's one I don't know if that information's out there, but I can feel it. I actually personally cannot go near a microwave. I start to buzz and my teeth start to shatter. It's not pleasant at all. But yes, they have a very strong there is a bit of a disconnect to electricity, because it is a third-dimensional manifestation. And when we're talking about 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and on dimensional beings that are connected to the higher dimensions, it doesn't really resonate very well. Or some of them are so great at electronics, they know how to use a computer. I mean, my 2-year-old niece knew how to use the iPad before I did. She just knew what to do, and it was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. She just knew. It's as if she used it before, because how would she know how to use it? They're extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
Extremely.
Mine too. Mine, 2 years old, was on the computer doing things I couldn't do at 2.
Oh my God, I didn't know how to do it at 12.
I know. So, are these children, in your opinion, Mojan, are they concrete evidence that we are progressing in evolution?
I don't know if it's concrete, but it's most definitely something you can feel in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we've been shown time and time again, by watching them, observing them, parenting them, being friends with them, that they exude qualities that, and they come in big bunches. It's not like one kid has this, like hundreds and thousands, and like so many of these kids have these special qualities, whether they're the same, different, irrelevant. And so, yes, it's very apparent that something's going on here. There is a shift. Mm-hmm. On the most simplest level, there is something going on that, it cannot be denied.
For sure, for sure. So, in conclusion then, would you say that these special children, the rainbow, crystal, indigo, or otherwise, are the answer to our prayers?
Yes, and we are the answer to our prayers as well, because we have to be accountable as well, and we have to, let them help us and help them help us. So it's yes, and it's also, we also have the opportunity and power to be the answer to our own prayers as well. I don't want to, everyone has responsibility and accountability to be a part of this. It's got to be collective.
Exactly, for sure. And we have one more question.
Okay.
The online question, let's see, it started here. It says, I'm still confused about them all. Can all those children wind time if they link up?
Can they wind time? I'm sorry?
Wind time?
Can all those children rewind time if they link up? Or open a portal to a new world?
Oh, okay. You know how I was talking earlier about the meditation, going back into your littles? That can be done. Absolutely. All of us can go back to any time or any space and bless it and clear it and deal with it. And, like that shadow side I was talking about, working through it, not being afraid of it, but just facing it so that you can move forward and not have it follow you. As far as being confused, I'm not sure where this person is confused, but I'll do my best to try and answer it. Absolutely, anything is possible. There are no rules here. Mm-hmm. There are no rules. I mean, it's infinite. I don't want us to be bogged down to this is how it has to be, and these are all just suggestions. These are all just common denominator as far as the aspects and characteristics. It's so important that we keep an open mind and open heart, and yes, a lot of these traits help us connect and feel like, oh man, I'm not alone, and I'm not the only one, because to feel alone is no good when the ultimate purpose of this is for us to all remember that we are all one. Mm-hmm. And that concept is difficult for some people to comprehend because they haven't opened up to that yet. So do I believe that can happen? Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what we can do to ensure that happens is put it out there and do something to create that. So that person who asked that, if this is something that they asked about, it's obviously something they're interested in, they should probably create some sort of day or events where we can all collectively get together and do it, because that's a great idea. That question is probably my favorite one in this whole show.
Oh, well, we have another one.
Okay, somebody's asked earlier about scouts. Mm-hmm. And please explain when she talks about scouts.
Okay, the scouts are here before the influx of the thousands of the indigo rainbow crystal. And they are the seed planters. They're the farmers. They plant the seeds. They sort of, create the space so that when the influx comes in, they sort of have a ground to stand on, metaphorically and literally. They probably have some of the hardest jobs, but they're here to sort of pin down the energy, keep it as solid as possible, but still lucid so that we have our free will. And there's not many of them that come down, but there are some that come in with a strong vibration and plant. They're basically the seed planters, and we're the ones that cultivate it with light and water, all that metaphoric, idea, to make it easier for us to complete our life purpose and our life missions or whatever it may be.
Well, that was a wonderful answer, and I hope that cleared that up a little bit for our viewer.
Yeah, this was great. I'm so honored to be of service and to connect with you, Christine, and for all people out there listening. I hope we answered most of your questions, but if there's anything that didn't come up that you don't understand, feel free to really dig deep within yourself, because the answers really are within. If you can get yourself to that relaxed, meditative space, you can do it. You can see what's true for you, what your truth is in all this.
I think we do have one more question.
Okay, and then I'm going to have to go because my phone's about to die.
Okay. That's right. Our phone power's about to go. So, last question, guys. Do we have a question?
It says here, I know that rainbow children are supposed to be born after 2000. Is it possible that a rainbow child was born before 1990?
Of course. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. The timeline, we can't pinpoint it. Some say that they came after 2008. Mm-hmm. Some say 2000. They come when they come, and that's probably where the scouts come in. I'm sure some of them started ushering through in the 90s. I wouldn't doubt it. But as far as the influx, they came after 2000.
Okay. And, well, I'm going to conclude the show because we are on phones and they're about to die. And I just wanted to say, again, for those of you watching, tonight's show was dedicated to Dorian. We're having a fundraiser to raise $24,500 for a little boy with autism so he can go to a special needs school. If possible, please visit our website, www.askyourangels.ca. Look up Dorian's story so you can see a little bit about this little boy. And if you'd like to donate, you can also do that there as well. Thank you so much, Mojan, for joining us tonight. This was just such a thrill for me to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much. I had a great time. Thank you.
I did too. So just if you can, just hang in there because I want to talk to you after the show for a second before your phone goes away. And thanks so much. Please join us next week, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see you then.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.